fellow members of the board, thank you for your time today as I discuss the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which is to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Today I will focus on the specific target. By 2020, protect and restore water-related ecosystems, including mountains, forests, wetlands, rivers, aquifers, and lakes. Aquatic ecosystems are the hub for connecting humans, wildlife, land, and water. Freshwater ecosystems support recreation, transportation, industry, economy, agriculture, and are a source of food and drinking water. As an example, forests prevent erosion, filter and purify water, provide food and shelter to numerous species, provide economic benefits to local communities, sequester carbon dioxide, and have an important role in the water cycle. These water-related ecosystems play a significant role in the health of surrounding populations. This Sustainable Development Goal focuses first on the protection of these resources, meaning that no further damage to these ecosystems should be done. The second focus of this sub-goal is complementary, and on the restoration of these water-related ecosystems. The EPA defines restoration as return of an ecosystem to a close approximation of its condition prior to disturbance. This target reinforces the importance of water and water ecosystems to overall health and well-being, and is foundational to sustainably achieving additional SDGs. Major anthropogenic threats to freshwater habitats and quality include construction of dams, agricultural runoff, urban development, invasive species, climate change, unsustainable withdrawal, and pollution. Many major rivers across the globe are overdrawn, resulting in lower flow and water that does not reach the sea. Many freshwater species are threatened by unsustainable human actions. The prevalence of water-stressed areas are increasing across the globe, though unevenly. Safe and readily available water is important for public health, whether it is used for drinking, domestic use, food production, or recreational purposes. Improved water supply and sanitation and better management of water resources can boost countries' economic growth and can contribute greatly to poverty reduction. Habitat alteration for food production often has unintended consequences. Species loss and habitat simplification, paired with fertilizers, pesticides, and irrigation, have many consequences, including biodiversity loss, increased erosion, waterway pollution, flooding, and affect human health through dramatic limitations of nutritional intake variation. Biodiversity and human health are closely linked, and loss of biodiversity has multiple negative effects on human health. The services provided by ecosystems cannot be overstated, and include food, water, plant-based and pharmaceutical medicines, and fuel. Social structures depend on ecosystem biodiversity through livelihoods, trade, and migration, and disruption to these systems can result in conflict and violence. Research has demonstrated that exposure to natural spaces improves human health related to stress, asthma, blood pressure, cholesterol, mental health, and diabetes, as well as other benefits. Additionally, recreational activities in aquatic ecosystems, such as boating, swimming, and hiking, are beneficial for human health and well-being. The future of water scarcity is bleak. Desertification is a major threat to the planet and is defined by the United Nations as the persistent degradation of dryland ecosystems by human activities, including unsustainable farming, mining, overgrazing, and clear-cutting of land, and by climate change. Desertification is occurring at extreme rates, and predictions expect that 50 million people will be displaced in the next 10 years due to desertification. Reforestation, sustainable farming practices, and sustainable water management are strategies to mitigate the effects of desertification. A variety of species are dependent on the benefits of freshwater ecosystems. Some populations that are particularly vulnerable to the overexploitation of freshwater resources are indigenous people, those with chronic conditions, the elderly, and the young. Indigenous people and people who sustainably depend on local resources for their livelihoods, such as subsistence fishing cultures, hunters, and farmers, struggle when water ecosystems are damaged and polluted, and local animal populations shrink. Communities dependent on well water and other groundwater sources are subject to negative health effects related to pollution and contamination. The elderly and those with chronic conditions are more susceptible to waterborne illnesses due to pollution and extreme weather events, generally less mobile in emergency and disaster situations such as flooding. Children are extremely vulnerable to water-related health issues as they consume a larger proportion of water to their body weight than adults. They may drink or play in dirty water, put their hands to their mouths, and are undergoing cognitive development. When intact, forests and other water-related ecosystems can act as a buffer to extreme weather events, such as heavy rain and flooding, which are increasing due to climate change. Disrupted water ecosystems have reduced buffering capabilities in the event of heavy rain and flooding. Populations that are especially vulnerable to flooding include those living in floodplains, the food insecure, poor and low-income populations, the elderly, children, and people living with disabilities. The most affected population is future generations, as we are unsustainably using water from aquifers and freshwater ecosystems, degrading the environment and its resources, and polluting both fresh and salt water. Protecting and restoring water-related ecosystem will provide benefits to both human and wildlife populations, now and in the future. Water conservation is a basic step everyone can take to reduce withdrawals from natural habitats such as aquifers, rivers, and lakes. Programs to protect and restore freshwater habitats must take into account the entire water cycle, as well as the surrounding ecology, including soil conditions and native plant and animal species, among other factors. Regulations, incentives, and improvements in agriculture can increase sustainability, reduce pesticide and fertilizer runoff, and prevent desertification. Communities can petition governments to establish protected areas with local input regarding wetlands and parks. Water diversion should be limited, such as with dams and high-flow irrigation systems, and done only after a thorough water assessment. Water withdrawals for human use should be regulated to improve sustainability and ensure equitable access globally, despite political and social resistance. Sandra Postal said, "In a world divided by race, tribe, gender, religion, and so much more, it is water that connects us all." The indicator for tracking the progress for Target 6 under Goal 6 is percentage of change in wetlands extent over time, which is objective and measurable, but does not address the entire picture of water-related ecosystem destruction. Unfortunately, it would not be feasible to track all changes in water ecosystems across the globe due to human use. One issue with this target is the need for sustained political and public support, as well as large financial backing in order to restore water ecosystems. This may appear to be at odds with some other sustainable development goals, particularly related to nutrition and agriculture, as the largest source of freshwater use is for agriculture at 70%. However, I would argue that improving our decisions around water resource use is primary to achieving sustainability. The United Nations shifted its focus from the Millennium Development Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals, recognizing the foundational importance of sustainability in achieving each of the 17 goals. Water sustainability is at the center of this transformation, as water is essential to human life, health, and well-being. Achieving Goal 6 and its sixth target by 2020 will enable the achievement of the remaining SDGs, as investments in water are investments in our planet's future. Here are some additional resources for you to reference when making your informed decisions regarding funding allocation. Thank you for your time.